Welcome back to Kava Shot. Wondered how to increase the strength and potency of your kava? Well, today I'll consolidate a lot of tips that I've shared in other episodes. So this is the boosted episode of Kava Shot, and I'm Vern, so let's get into it. I'll cover kava cautions, just because you gotta know. The effects of kava, just as a review so you understand the different types of effects that kava can have on your body. Food's effects on kava. Best water temperatures for making kava, depending on which method you're using to make kava. Agitation, just bringing out the best in your kava. How to filter your kava. What's the best type of filter you should be using for kava when you make it. How to supercharge your kava. What can you add to your kava to make it a lot stronger? And then lastly, what's the right kava for you? Let's start off with cautions. All right, I'm going to start out with this because it's important to hear and know. You should always seek medical advice before drinking kava. If you're on meds, kava may react with your different meds or prescriptions. So you should talk to or consult with a professional first. If you have liver damage, you definitely want to talk to a professional first or a doctor. Kava can also amplify or impact some meds that you're currently on. So again, it's always good to talk to a medical professional, get their opinion, right, before you try kava. Again, and finally, you should enjoy the natural effect of kava, unadulterated natural effects of kava. Keep it natural. Don't mix it with other substances. Let's also touch on the effects of kava. Each kava will have different effects depending on the Kavalactone lineup that it has. But I think it's good to just review the effects that it have so that you understand the type of kava that you may enjoy doing. So kava has many beneficial effects. And again, it's based on which kava. Some effects will be more pronounced than other effects depending on the kava. The kavalactones will vary also. For each of those effects, there's a certain percentage of kavalactone or a type of kavalactone that affects that. So the percentage of that kavalactone in that kava will affect the effect that you get. Most kavas will be between 5% and 13% kavalactones, and that's the total kavalactone level. Anything over 8 is generally considered a good level of kavalactones. Let's start out with the upsides of kava first. Kava is a great muscle relaxant. One of the kavalactones will relax your muscles. You become very relaxed. Another one is some kavas have higher sedative properties, so you'll be a lot more sedate. Other kavas have a higher anti-anxiety benefit. It's a great social lubricant. Some kavas will have a higher painkiller effect. Euphoria. Some kavas have stronger euphoric effects than others. Kava is also a neuroprotective. It actually has been proven to help protect your brain cells. Another real good benefit of kava is restorative sleep. And I think this is probably one of the best ones. People take all sorts of medicines to try to sleep better, to try to relax, but kava is a natural or has the natural effect of helping you sleep much better. And then basically, this is just a feeling, you get a numb tongue from kava too when you drink it. And generally you'll find that the stronger the numbness that you get when you drink the kava, it's usually a stronger kava also. Now let's touch on the downsides of some kavas. All right, some kavas you can have loss of coordination, and you know, loss of coordination isn't really good if you're doing any physical activities, sometimes weightlifting, right? Or if you're driving or operating any type of vehicle, right? Loss of coordination and vehicles don't go well together. Another downside is drowsiness. Some kavas can make you extremely drowsy. Within about 15-20 minutes of drinking kava, you'll feel very sleepy. Again, that doesn't bode well if you're driving or if you're engaged in an activity where you just need to be awake. And probably the last downside is sometimes, and this sometimes depends on the quality of the kava that you have, right? Nausea and vomiting with some kavas, right? Some kavas can make you feel upset or have an upset stomach. Now, it's rare, but it really depends on the Kavalactone profile. So which Kavalactone comes first in the profile of the type of kava that you're drinking. So those are the downsides. Really important that you're aware of those. Depending on the kava that you're drinking, some of these effects are going to be stronger than some of the other effects. It's very kava specific. For more information, you'll probably want to watch the Know It episode of Kava Shot. Now let's knock out the tips for having a stronger kava. Okay, the first most important tip is don't eat before drinking kava. Right? If you can fast 2 to 3 hours before you drink kava, you'll actually increase the potency of your kava. The effects will be much greater. Food has a tendency to dampen the effects of kava. If I have a really heady kava, right, a very uplifting, motivating kava, I like to drink that in the morning. And having not eaten all night, I'll actually get a much stronger impact drinking that in the morning. It's just, so food just dampens the effect that you can get out of your kava. Fasting will also speed up the absorption and increase the impact, right? If you don't have any food in your stomach or in your intestine, right, you're just going to absorb that kava so much faster. The impact will hit you so much faster and it'll be a lot stronger also. So just like fasting will affect the impact of your kava, eating will also impact the effect of your kava. So if you eat right after you drink your kava, you will dull the experience almost immediately. It starts taking away from the potential impact that you can really have with your kava. So I don't recommend eating till probably about 3 hours after you've drank your kava, right? You just don't want to dampen that experience. And I've also found that eating sugar, like, you think maybe you just have like a little chocolate chip cookie, after you took your kava. No, I found that sugar seems to impact how the strength of the impact of the kava has on you. Right, so if I have sugar, it dampens the impact. Right, so again, if you're going to fast, best to fast 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 hours before you drink your kava. Don't eat right after you have your kava. Eat probably 3 hours after if you're hungry. If you're drinking a heady kava, remember heady is an uplifting kava, then drinking it in the morning is great, right? Then you have lunch. What I've also discovered is a really good heady kavas, the effect you'll get like a secondary effect. And that secondary effect is you just feel very motivated for the rest of the day. And by the time nighttime comes around, when you go to sleep, you sleep really, really well, right? It's a very restful sleep. So other kavas you're probably going to want to do in the evenings, more of your heavy kavas, right? The kavas that make you sleepy, that have really high sedative properties to them, right? Ones that make you feel like a couch potato. You want to do those probably in the evening, right? But again, you probably want to have an early dinner before you have that heavy kava, just so that you can actually have more of an impact. And also with heavy kavas, sometimes some of them you'll probably want to do maybe 20 minutes before you go to sleep, because you'll start getting that strong sleepiness and drowsiness, probably about 15 minutes after you drink the kava. And it's probably a really good time to actually go to sleep at that point in time. I've found, again, try kavas at different times of the day, right? If you're doing a heavy kava, you probably want to try those on weekends, experiment with them on weekends. Try it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Try kavas at different times so you can actually understand how it works to your body during the different times of the day also, because that will also impact the feeling that you get from the kava. And again, you know, back to fasting. I think if you fast for about 4 hours before you drink kava, in my experience, I can almost double the impact of the kava that I'm drinking, right, if I fasted for about 4 hours. Number 2, all right, use hot water when you make your kava. The kavalactones are in the oils, in the fibers, right, in the kava itself. And one of the ways to get those oils to release from those fibers is using hot water. Now, one caution that you need to be aware of with kava is that over 140 degrees, which is about 60 degrees Celsius, kava lactones will start breaking down. So you'll basically neutralize your kava. So don't go above 140 degrees when you're making your kava. And then let's talk about the 3 different methods of making kava, right? Using the traditional method, which is using a strainer bag and kneading and squeezing and putting a lot of effort into it. The traditional way that kava has been made for 2,000 to 3,000 years in the South Pacific, right? You'll probably want a water temperature around 105 degrees. That's about jacuzzi temperature. You know, it's comfortable to put your hands in and work and knead the kava to release those oils. And you'll know you're being successful when you start feeling the water, it'll start feeling a little oily, right? And I covered that in the Squeeze It episode of Kava Shot. Now, for blenders, you're probably going to want a little hotter water, anywhere between 120 and 130 degrees, right? You're not putting your hands in it, right? The blender can handle the warmer water. And again, that warmer water will actually release the kavalactones faster. And I covered that in the Blend It episode of Kava Shot. And for the last method, right, using the alu ball when you're making kava, and this is the Shake It episode of Kava Shot, you'll probably want water again around 120, 130 degrees. Remember, you're pouring it into the alu ball shaker, you're shaking it up. So it's basically the same as a blender, just different method. You'll want it from 120 to 130 degrees. For micronized, you'll want the water around 105, 110 degrees, because after you make your kava, right, micronized, you just can use a spoon, you're going to put it in your water and mix it up and you can drink it immediately, right? You can also make your micronized in the alu ball also. I prefer making it in alu ball and just shaking it up. That way I can really agitate it, and then I'll use actually a little warmer water. But if you're just putting it in a cup to drink it almost immediately, 105, 110 degrees water, and you're going to want to agitate it with that spoon to again release those kavalactones. Many people like to chill their kava, right, before they drink it. So, you know, when they blend it or after they shake it in the alu ball, they'll add some ice to it, shake it up or mix it, blend it a little more, chill it out. Now, I myself like to drink it warmer. And the reason why is because your body will absorb the water faster, right? So it'll hit you faster and you'll actually have a more intense feeling from your kava also. So I drink mine warm, but if you like it chilled, just add some ice and, you know, chill out. If you don't have a kettle where you can set the temperature, you can always use a thermometer. I use a basic barbecue thermometer. What I'll do is I'll pour the hot water into the cup, and then I will temp it, and then I'll start adding cold water to the cup till I get to around between 120 and 130 degrees. So if you have a barbecue thermometer, you can use that to temp your water. It's easy peasy. So tip number 3, let it steep. I think this is a very important step that you don't want to miss. No matter what method you're using, whether you're using the blender, whether you're using the alu ball, whether you're using micronized, whether you're using the dip, knead, and squeeze, the traditional method for making your kava, you really want it to steep for a bit. So just get that kava wet, let it sit in the water, let that hot water start reacting with the kavalactones and the oils so that it'll actually release it better. Hot water will just jumpstart the process and just make your kava so much better. But, you know, for the hot water to work, you just have to let it steep. You need to get those oils out of those fibers. Tip number 4 to increase the strength of your kava, you got to work those fibers, right? Remember, the hot water will help release the kavalactones, but you also have to agitate your kava, right? When you're making it the traditional way and you're kneading and squeezing it, you're really working those fibers, and that's agitating that kava. That's helping release those oils. Same with a blender. You put that blender on pulse and you let it pulse for 4 minutes, or you put it on high for 4 minutes. All that chopping motion and motion within the liquid, that's releasing the oils also. The alu ball, when you're shaking it vigorously, again, right, you're working those fibers, you're releasing those kavalactones. So work those fibers, really get it to release it. For micronized, again, a lot of people just put the spoonful in their glass of warm water, or however they want to drink it, and they stir it around, right? I myself take my micronized, I actually put it in an alu ball, right? And I just shake it up real quickly, right? It just agitating your kava just makes a better kava. It releases those oils. Tip number 5, use the right filter. You can buy a lot of different filters on Amazon. You'll see a lot of nut milk bags for making almond milk or all different types of other milks. But a lot of those bags are 100 micron to 120 micron. You really need a 75 micron filter bag for making kava. And you'll find that, you'll find a lot of the vendors that are selling on Amazon, selling kava, will have filter bags. Now, just make sure it says 75 micron. 75 micron is the perfect filter bag for making great kava. It lets enough of the microparticles into the elixir, right, which enhances the effect of the kava, but keeps out those larger particles, which just make sometimes kava harder to drink. You can use cheesecloth, but again, cheesecloth is a bigger micron, right? So you also want to make sure that your bag size is around 10 or 12 inches, right? If you're using a blender, you want to make sure that that bag can fit over the blender. You can cinch that cord, right? And then you can pour into the bag and then filter it out that way. A 10 to 12 inch filter bag is also perfect if you're using a smaller blender like a NutriBullet, right? It just pours into it, fits over it real easily. Another thing you want to make sure is that it's food grade. A lot of these, the new bags are nylon mesh, right? Nylon's very durable, but you want to make sure that it's food grade. You want to make sure that it's BPA free. You want to make sure that it has a good drawstring and that it has strong stitching, right? And a 10 to 12 inch bag, you can use it, for a personal amount of kava, or if you're having a kava party, you want to make kava the traditional way, share it with your friends. It's a perfect size for making a larger batch of kava. Okay, so tip number 6, add some fat. I know that doesn't make everybody happy. Some people say, man, I don't like fat in my diet. But I'll tell you what, fat really enhances your kava. And when I say fat, I'm not talking tons and tons. I'm talking add some almond milk, add some whole milk, add some coconut milk. So all of these milks have a level of fat in them, which will help draw the kavalactones out of the fibers, right? And the fat cells will attach to the kavalactones, and it'll just make your kava taste a little better also. And you don't need much. You only need 1 or 2 tablespoons of almond milk, coconut milk, whole milk, or soy or lecithin, right, to help just bring out the power of your kava. For you health conscious people, skim milk doesn't work, right? There's not enough fat in skim milk to actually pull the fats out of or pull the kavalactones out of the kava. Tip number 7, drink it fast, right? Kava's not a sipping drink, right? You don't drink 1 cup over an hour, right? You don't nurse the thing, you drink it, right? So chug it. You just pound it down. Right? The faster you get it down, you get that volume in there, you get the effect so much faster, right? So much more intense. It's just so much better. Now, if you're making a really large batch because it's a weekend and you want to drink it, multiple cups over the day, right? Then you'll just drink 1 cup, wait maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, drink another cup, wait another 20 minutes, half an hour, drink another cup. But you're drinking the whole cup each time and just getting the full effect of that kava. Right? But if you are drinking a lot of kava, right, in one shot, I'd just do it over the weekend, right? If you get a kava that makes you into a couch potato, really, you don't want to be going to work and being a couch potato, right? That's a weekend kind of thing, right? If you're doing a heady kava, that's a different story. If you're doing a heavy kava, you probably just want to be hanging out at the weekend, right? And just taking your time and enjoying your kava, super relaxed, super chill. And when you're drinking your kava, you want to make sure you get all those microparticles in the bottom of the cup, right? You want to swish it around, make sure you get all of those, right? That's where a lot of the goodness is. Make sure you get all of those microparticles at the bottom of the cup. Make sure you swish it around and drink it. So tip number 8, right? Find the right kava for you, right? Everybody's body chemistry is different. Everybody's looking for a different effect. I may be looking for a kava that makes me sleepy or totally into a couch potato one day or maybe in the evening, but during the day I really want a heady kava, right, which is uplifting, gets me really focused, right? It just depends on what you want and what the effect is. And your body chemistry really determines how that kava is actually going to interact with you. Right? You and I could drink the same exact kava and both of us could have slightly different experiences because our bodies are different. Plus, we may be on different fasting schedules. I may not have eaten for 4 hours. You may have eaten an hour ago, right? So the impact it has on you isn't going to be the same impact it has on me. The method that you use to make that kava will also affect it, right? Making it using a blender versus the olive ball versus, the traditional method, right? And how long you do each of those methods is also going to affect the impact and the strength of that kava. And finding the right kava also means trying the different methods of making your kava. You may find one method works really well with this one certain type of kava. So whenever I try a new kava, I'll try all the different methods of making that kava, and it does make a difference. But again, time of day, how you feel, how your body feels. Are you tired? Are you well rested? Will also have an impact. But you got to find the kava that makes you feel really good. Another thing to be aware of with kava is kava has a reverse tolerance, right? With some substances that you have to keep doing more and more and more to get that same effect. With kava, it has a reverse tolerance where over time, the more you drink kava, the less you actually have to drink to get that same effect. Right? So that's actually one of the real nice benefits of drinking kava is its reverse tolerance. I think another thing, we've covered this in some of the other episodes of Kava Shot, is the understanding the Kavalactone profile. Remember, there's 6 Kavalactones right? 6 major kavalactones in kava. And depending on that sequence of numbers will help you determine which kava you like best, right? The number 6, number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1. Depending which order those numbers are in, you know, the sedative strength might be very strong, right? The relaxation might be very strong. The sleepiness might be very strong. The alertness and focus might be very strong. Depending on the sequence of those numbers and the strength of each of those kavalactones in each of those numbers determines that profile of your kava. So trying different kavas will help you understand which profile you really like or what works really well for you. And this is where it pays to go to the different websites for the different sellers of kava, and hopefully they provide that information to you so that you can understand what you like, because you'll also find over time that some of these sellers are just buying from a bunch of different farmers, right? And they mix it all together and then they sell it, which doesn't really give you a consistent experience each time, right? Where, you know, the smaller farms, right, or just one farm producing that kava, generally they're going to always produce the same type of kava. It's not being mixed with other different types of kava, so you get a different experience every time, right? It's going to be very consistent. The quality will be the same each time. So again, this is where a little research, understanding what Kavalactone profile you like, understanding where it's coming from. Are they mixing a bunch together? Do they tell you that information on their website so that you can actually make better choices when you're drinking kava? And again, research, right? Once you start understanding the different kavalactones and their effects, you'll understand what kava is really good for you and what kava do you really like. Kavas are personal. Kava's personal. It's like love, right? It takes time to find the right one, right? And you may also have several favorites, right? But take your time, try different kavas, find the ones that work really well with your body, and those are the ones that you probably want to drink. So let's touch on again where it comes from, right? Certain regions make better kavas. Certain remote areas or islands make really good kavas, right? Is the kava from an island that has a lot of vehicles and a lot of roads, right? Vehicles and roads mean runoff, means pollution, means heavy metals in your kava, right? Just like any other plant that's growing in that area. All right, so if you can find kavas that are growing on remote islands with no roads, no cars, which you can, right? Those are probably better for you, right? They're usually rainwater, right, or spring water fed, right? It's just more natural. They're not using fertilizers, right? There's no cars or vehicles polluting the environment. Again, how was it processed? Are they using an FDA approved facility, right? And a lot of vendors do, but some actually really don't. All right, so again, a little research, visiting their websites will help you understand how they clean their kava, how they sanitize their kava, how do they make sure that there's no pathogens in their kava. A lot of sellers will also get their kava tested, right? So are they publishing their test results? Are they showing you what the heavy metal content is, the pesticide level? Are there any biologicals in that? Right? If they're a really good seller, they're actually providing that information. They're doing those tests. Right, they're producing the product in a sanitary environment. The only way to really understand this is research, right? Your kava's only as good as the research you do to find out which kava you should be drinking. Right? Take the time, do some research, get educated, understand Kavalactone profiles, understand the effects, understand what you want to get out of your kava, the effect that you want, so that you know which kava you like drinking at which time of day or on the weekend, or what's the desired effect. Again, it's all personal choice. The way it affects me may be different than the way it affects you. It's just the way it interacts with your body. Hey, that's a wrap on this session. I hope I provided you with enough tips that will help you get started on your search for the right kava for you. If you found this informative, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel. In other Kava Shot episodes, I show you how to make kava using different methods so you do it correctly. How to get the most out of your kava. I have some Kava Shot episodes which teach you about the different kavalactones in kava. And again, hey, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode of Kava Shot. Cheers.